But modern wars are also fought through inflation, oil prices, currencies, trade routes, and collapsing economies. And right now, one small country in the Middle East is becoming a warning sign for something much bigger. Because Lebanon is no longer just a political crisis, it is becoming an economic pressure point for the entire region. And if peace continues to fail there, the consequences may spread far beyond its borders. When people hear about Lebanon, they usually see headlines about Hezbollah, Israel, airstrikes, border tensions, and regional conflict. But beneath those headlines lies another battle almost nobody discusses deeply enough. An economic battle. A battle over stability, investor confidence, regional influence, trade, energy security, and the future economic balance of the Middle East. The dangerous reality is this: countries do not collapse only from bombs. Sometimes they collapse because their economy slowly stops functioning. And Lebanon has been dangerously close to that point for years. Its currency lost most of its value. Banks restricted citizens from accessing savings. Businesses struggled to survive. Electricity shortages became normal. Young professionals began leaving the country. Investors lost confidence. Tourism weakened. And when trust disappears from an economy, recovery becomes incredibly difficult. Now imagine what happens when military conflict enters an already broken economic system. The damage multiplies. War scares away investors. Trade slows down. Infrastructure becomes vulnerable. Insurance costs increase. Foreign businesses hesitate. Capital escapes. And uncertainty spreads faster than missiles ever could. This is why Lebanon matters far beyond Lebanon itself. Because the Middle East today is not only competing militarily, it is competing economically. Countries across the region are trying to become global business hubs, tourism hubs, energy hubs, trade corridors, technology centers, investment destinations. But investors hate one thing more than anything else: uncertainty. And prolonged instability in Lebanon creates exactly that. The problem becomes even bigger because Lebanon sits inside one of the world's most strategically sensitive regions, near Mediterranean shipping routes, near major energy corridors, near Israel, near Syria, near routes connected to Gulf economies and global oil markets. So when tensions rise there, global markets pay attention immediately. Even if oil supply itself is not directly interrupted, traders begin pricing in risk. And modern economies react strongly to fear. A single regional escalation can influence fuel prices, shipping costs, market confidence, tourism flows, and investment decisions across the region. This is why every major power watches Lebanon carefully, not only because of security concerns, but because instability spreads economically. The deeper issue is that Lebanon's crisis is no longer purely internal. Iran supports Hezbollah. The United States backs Israeli security interests. Gulf countries compete for regional influence. And global powers understand that economic instability in the Middle East can quickly become geopolitical instability. That's what makes peace so difficult. Because multiple regional interests are now connected to Lebanon's future. And here comes the most dangerous part. Many people assume that ending military conflict automatically creates peace. But economies do not recover overnight. A ceasefire cannot instantly restore trust in banks. It cannot suddenly attract investors back. It cannot rebuild infrastructure immediately. and it cannot convince young, educated citizens to stop leaving the country. Economic confidence takes years to rebuild, sometimes generations. That is why winning peace is often harder than winning war, because rebuilding a nation requires more than stopping violence. It requires restoring trust, trust in institutions, trust in currency, trust in governance, trust in the future itself. And Lebanon today faces a painful paradox. It desperately needs foreign investment to stabilize. But instability itself prevents investment from coming. That creates a cycle many fragile nations struggle to escape. Weak economy creates instability. Instability scares investment. Lack of investment weakens the economy further. And eventually, the country becomes trapped between political paralysis and economic collapse. History has shown this pattern repeatedly, not only in Lebanon, but in Syria, Libya, Iraq, and other conflict-affected regions. This is why modern geopolitical conflicts are no longer only military stories. They are economic stories too. Wars today are fought through financial pressure, energy markets, currencies, trade networks, and investor psychology. And perhaps the most important lesson from Lebanon is this: a collapsing economy can destabilize a country long before total military defeat ever happens. That is why the future of Lebanon matters far beyond its borders. Because in today's interconnected world, instability does not stay isolated anymore. It spreads through markets, through oil prices, through trade, through migration, through regional fear, and through economic uncertainty that quietly reaches ordinary people thousands of kilometers away. The world may continue watching the missiles, but the real battle may be happening underneath them, inside banks, inside markets, inside collapsing institutions, and inside a country struggling not only to avoid war, but to survive economically after decades of instability. Because sometimes the most dangerous weapon in modern conflict is not destruction itself, it is uncertainty.